Hey guys, welcome to a new edition of the pod, and I've been really looking forward to doing this one as it's around one of my topics that I really enjoy talking about, and just generally have always felt really intrigued with the area of training, exercise, and this training is all going to be around how to train optimally in your late 30s and 40s whilst managing career, business, family, general day-to-day life, and everything that brings, all the overwhelm and stress that can bring. And one of the biggest things that most people face when trying to do something about their health, know that they've got to do some form of exercise training, is they are put off by the what that will strip away from their general day-to-day life, i.e., time, precious time they have might be with family, energy that they need for other aspects of their life to perform. And I want to break those down, those kind of myths really, and to how you can, in your 40s, managing all of life's to-do list and everything you needed to do and show up in how you can implement a training program that lasts and also give you a bit of context exactly what the outcomes are and what this is going to produce. It's going to look at managing body fat percentage. It's going to look at building muscle and fortifying your body so you can perform not just in the gym, but in general day-to-day life with the kids, with the grandkids, being able to do the things that you want and love to do and into later life, okay? Deep into later life. And also, I think we need to take a moment to really get clarity on what this kind of training, when we're talking about real structured, tailored and training with a specific outcome can actually bring to your life. Now, this training isn't just to drop body fat, build muscle, and have a physique. Yes, it's going to do that for sure. And I've done it with myself multiple times, and I've done it with many, many clients over a decade. Okay. It is going to fortify your mind as well. Now, if anybody has followed me for any particular amount of time, you know I'm a big reader of the Stoics and Stoic philosophy. One particular Stoic that really I love reading is Seneca, and he said the body should be treated more rigorously that it may not be disobedient to the mind. And I truly believe that when we challenge the body in a supportive manner, it is going to fortify not just the body, but also your mind. You're going to be able to work through obstacles and situations that you're inevitably going to face better. You're going to manage stress better. You're going to manage overwhelm better. You're going to sleep better. You're going to connect better with the people that you love and care for. Okay? Yes, it does go that deep. And I think that's one thing that we overlook and don't connect and realize when we're talking about exercise. Okay, it's usually about the aesthetics. It's usually about how much body fat I can drop, how much muscle I can pack on. Okay, but we can't overlook just what Seneca said there is we need to treat the body rigorously and the mind will follow. The mind will follow, and you'll find that you'll be able to fortify your mind, work through challenges a lot better, connect better to the people that you care for, and get better outcomes in all areas of your life. I believe it truly does lead to that. Okay. So what does this look like? What does this kind of training look like? And I'm going to break it down into specifics. And obviously, things are always going to look a little bit different from person to person, with where they're starting, injuries, their knowledge and understanding around training, their lifestyle, current lifestyle, their, a whole aspect. But if we come back to these things that I'm going to outline, you're going to be building a very, very good, supportive, and consistent training regime that can fit very easily into your life. Okay. So the first one, time management. And I wanted to start here because I think that's really important because to break down this belief that we need to spend all of our free time and all of our energy in the gym or our home gym environment, wherever it may be, yeah, we need to spend all of our time there. It's simply not the case. If we can be really well structured, if we can be really focused on what needs to happen, we do not need to spend all of our free time in the gym. Okay. I recently put this to the test and I actually did a photo shoot, my third photo shoot, and I wanted to emphasize how you could do it whilst having with a family, with a business, working many hours a day, how you could still create a training program that got results. And the photo shoot was one of my best. And I did that on 3 sessions a week, 3 gym sessions a week. I also had to make sure that I had to get in and out of the gym under an hour. Some of my, I think probably a handful of those sessions across the 3 months probably were under 45 minutes because I literally had to get in and get out and do what I could in the time available. Nothing went over 60 minutes. Most, if anything, the majority of my sessions and anything that I set my clients is like 50 minutes max. And when you're getting in, I want you being efficient, I want you being progressive and focused, and I want you getting out and getting on with the rest of your life. Okay? So, in your 40s, wanting to create a strong, athletic, robust body, 3 sessions a week is great. Under 1 minute, 1 minute, under an hour, okay? And within that, I wouldn't program any more than 8 movements. Most sessions would be 7 movements, but nothing more than 8, okay? And that, again, really shows you that it's not about just more and more and more and more. What a lot of people think, it's about quality, it's about having that structure, getting in and getting out, and you don't need more than 3. Could I have got great results on 2 sessions a week whilst managing my daily movement, i.e., steps and nutrition and sleep? Yes, I could. But to really utilize, I think 3 is a great place to start. And for most people, that's manageable. And some weeks there might be 2, but can we get 3? That would be great. Okay. So I think that really kind of squashes this idea that all free time needs to be in the gym. Quality over quantity. So because we want to utilize our time, we need to understand that it's literally not a case of getting in the gym and just going into ego lifting, which a lot of people can easily get into, like just trying to lift more than you have any kind of respect to lift, okay, or just trying to outlift the person next to you, whatever it may be, for whatever reason. We really need to let go of that ego lifting. What we need to do is come back to and think about, what am I actually trying to achieve with this movement? What muscle group am I actually trying to train? For example, if we are flat on a bench press with some dumbbells in hand and we're trying to do a dumbbell bench press, we're obviously trying to train the chest. And think about, can I take that movement through the full range of motion that I have available for me? And can I contract that muscle and my chest in this instance as well as possible? Now, some muscle groups are easier to do than others and to connect. But when you start to do this, you'll start to get so much more out of the sessions. You'll feel it more. You'll and you need to do that. And you only can do that is by dropping those weights to a weight that you can manage good quality. And everything that you're trying to do is, how can I perform this as well as possible? Does it need to be perfect? No. Does the last 2 reps really need to be perfect? No. They're starting to show, they're starting to slow down. The reps are starting to slow down. Okay. They're not trash. They're starting to really challenge you. Okay. But you need a weight that's really going to allow you to perform really, really well, or as well as possible. And this, I'll go into this in a minute, but this is really going to help you to stay away from any injuries, okay, and stay consistent. How many people do we know have been into the gym, hurt themselves because they've ego lifted, and have to take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks off because they can't move because of an injury because they just lifted too heavy, So and look, we need to be careful here because we need to be getting on with the rest of our lives. Okay, we can't going into a gym injuring ourselves because we're just picked too much of a heavy weight up, and can't work as well as we need to work, or be with family and do the things we want to do. Okay, so quality over quantity is really, really important. Third one, a lot have been said about this, so you may already heard about this, but it's implementing progressive overload. So as soon as we've got those numbers of weights and what we're using, can we progress that from week to week? Okay. Now, as you get deeper into a training block, now that could again look different from person to person, whether it's 6 weeks or up to 8 weeks. There may be certain weeks in there where that isn't possible, and you may have to drop the weight down just because of like illness or just not slept well. But what we want to be doing is going into the gym with a clear intention to progress on last week's numbers. And that's really important why we have a training log. We can look back on what we were lifted. We're not guessing. All right. And we're really clear on what was the weight, what was the reps. And if we're not progressing the weight, we are progressing the reps. Okay. Most of my clients will have a rep range. It's like 8 to 10. They'll start at the bottom of that rep range with the weight. They'll work up that rep range. As soon as they get to the top of the rep range, then they can come back down and then increase the load and then work their way back up. Okay. So it's either through load, it's either through reps and sets. And we can't underestimate the power of strength and why we need to keep hold of strength, particularly as we get into later life, because naturally muscle mass diminishes unless you are looking after it, unless you are stimulating it and trying to keep hold of it. And for every decade, we can look at a rate of a decrease in muscle mass from 3% to 8%. And particularly as you get through the decades, that is going to go to that higher percentage. Okay. So it means that we're expecting to lose significant muscle mass through your 40s and beyond if you don't challenge it. Okay. And resistance-based training will help you to regain that muscle mass and obtain quality years later into life. If you don't use it, the analogy, you lose it. Okay. So implement progressive overload to keep that muscle mass, to build muscle. Okay. And progress that from week to week. Next one, rep ranges. So which rep range is best? And there isn't necessarily a best. There is a variety. We need to be able to hit different kinds of rep ranges through our training. Why? Well, we've got slow twitch muscle fibers, fast twitch muscle fibers. Now, certain muscle fibers will react more to lower rep ranges. Anything below 6 is more classed as, strength based. You're not going to get much other benefit. Not to say that we shouldn't be lifting below 5 reps, but if we're looking to move well, live well, body composition changes, then we're looking from anything from 6 reps above. Okay. So we've got rep ranges from like 6 to 8. So a lot of movements, those compound movements at the start of a session, could be anything from 6 to 8. But we're also going to challenge muscle fibers through rep range of 8 to 12 and even 12 plus into 14s, 16s, even 20s. Not so much that high, but rep ranges. And we want to make sure from each session we are challenging muscle groups in a multitude of different rep ranges. So if we're training chest again, then it's 6 to 8. We also might hit it again later in the week at a lighter weight, but through 8 to 12. Okay. And again, you're going to be targeting and hitting those slow and fast muscle fibers and getting the most out of the development of that particular muscle group that you're targeting. So using a wide range of rep ranges is really, really key to get the most out of your training and the most out of your time in the gym. So how much training per week is needed? Okay, so training frequency. So I've already said that we can really be productive and get some great results being in the gym 3 times a week. But what does that actually look like? Okay. Now, obviously, with those 3 sessions, we are going to be hitting muscle groups, and we want to be hitting muscle groups more than once a week. So there's the whole idea that we just hit a muscle group once a week. Now, if you've been training for any particular amount of time, you know you probably could hit that muscle group, whether it's quads, particularly the larger ones, quads, hamstrings, glutes, chest, lats, 48 hours after you've trained them if you're training well with progressive overload. So we want to be able to hit a particular muscle group, anything from 10 to 15 working sets per week. Okay. So how do we do that? Because we can't do that in one session. That really breaks down that idea of just hitting a muscle group once per week, that bro splits or whatever it is. Okay. So for example, we could set up a full body session, but predominantly with a push. Okay, so you're going to be targeting through that session things like um chest, delts, triceps, quads, okay, calves as well. Um, then we could hit a more pull dominant, which again, that's going to hit more hamstrings, glutes, lats, biceps as well. And then the third session, we can hit full body again, more push pull. All right. So a bit more of a volume. So we're getting that volume in. And that third session is allowing us to do that. Okay. Um, and that's really going to help you to get between that 10 to 15 working sets. Now, some muscle groups, larger muscle groups like chest, like quads, like glutes, are going to be to the higher portion of that rep rate, that working sets. Okay. Smaller muscle groups, triceps, biceps, you could probably get towards the lower rep range there. But again, everyone is different. So it's looking about what's your response, how well you can recover from the volume across a week, and just kind of looking back and seeing how you've recovered from that, and if you can push certain muscle groups, particularly if you have a lagging muscle group, then you might want to highlight that for a period of 6, 8, 12 weeks and try and hit that towards that more closer to that 14, 15 working sets per week to really give more stimulus and to really bring it up. Okay. So that's how we want to kind of look upon our week training volume, and utilizing that 3 sessions a week, which I think is really helpful for most people, and making sure that we're hitting muscle groups between 10 to 15 working sets across the week. Right, I think that was what I wanted to talk about on that one. Now, the next one, exercise selection. Exercise selection. Uh, Now, we've got to remember what we want to do is not just be training to look good in the gym. We want to be training that it benefits outside of the gym in natural day-to-day life. We want to feel good at work. We want to feel good with the family. We want to feel good on holiday. We want to feel good going for a hike. We want to feel good in general day-to-day life. Okay? So, how can we look upon this and make sure we're getting the most out of it? So first of all, obviously we will need some mobility and activation movements, okay, to make sure that we're prepping ourselves to go into more of our heavier work in the sessions in the best possible way. So can we utilize things like bands, resistance bands, to create some tension, whether in the shortened position or lengthened position of a muscle? Dynamic stretching. So I'm not a massive fan of static stretching. Doesn't really, it's not replicating what we eventually want the muscle to do. So can we do some dynamic stretching? Anything that supports the movement that we're eventually going to go into. Okay. So yeah, utilizing those bands, utilizing dynamic stretches is going to be really important for longevity in the gym and making sure you can recover well as well. Then we want to look at some of those compound movements. These are a real staple to your sessions. So any kind of pressing movements, rowing movements, squatting, deadlift, hip hinge movements, pulling such as pull-ups, pull downs, anything that's multi-joint. So like for squat, we're looking at ankle, knee, and hip. Deadlift, a little bit more hip dominant there. Um, Pull up, like, so we're looking at shoulder and elbow joint. Rowing, like bent over barbell rows. Overhead pressing, flat bench press, incline bench press. So those big compound movements, and they're going to be stacked towards the top end of your gym session. And we're going to look at that more kind of utilizing them at that 6 to 8 rep range. Not that you can't do lighter weight and do higher rep ranges, but I just feel like the stimulus that they give and you can get from them, they kind of lean themselves towards those more heavier lifts, and you're going to get a lot more from them and progress them over time, working in that more kind of like that 6 to 8 rep range. Okay. Then that can lead us to more single joint movements. So things like bicep curl, tricep press down, crunch, leg extensions, leg curls, that kind of thing. So utilizing one joint. Okay. And these can take a little bit more stimulus, or they don't need as much stimulus, should I say. They can cover a little bit quicker. You can hit them multiple times throughout the week quite easily. Okay. And obviously, we've got core movements. Now, when we're talking about the core, we're not just talking crunch. What I want to think about here is that, again, how can we take movements in the gym that are going to benefit us out of the gym? And those are going to be things such as rotational movements. So, banded rotations, anything like that that's going to take you across your body is going to be really, really helpful as well. Again, into day-to-day life and really create a very solid ab section as well. Okay. And then something I've really been looking to bring into a lot of my training and training with my clients and can see such the carryover into day-to-day life and the importance of them is carries. All right. So things such as farmers carries, suitcase carries, where you're holding a heavy load and you're literally walking with it, but you're not just walking, you're staying tall, your core's braced, you're controlling the weight. You can go pretty heavy here. And the great thing with these, with the carries, there's no real impact. Okay, they're pretty recoverable as well. So yeah, things like farmers carries, suitcase carries, um, sledge pushes and pulls are really, really good. Okay, again, low impact. Again, great carryover to day life. And also things like um, explosive movements. So anything when we can do ball slams against the floor, against the wall, that explosiveness is going to help you durability wise, athleticism outside of the gym as well. So really goes like mobility and activation, compound movements, single joint movements, core movements that are just not crunch but rotational, and then also utilizing carries, push, pull, and anything that's explosive as well. So a real whole round, different route that we can train. Everything's progressive, everything's resistance based. But just hitting the body in a very different way. So throughout the session, you would hit those rep ranges from 6 to 8, 10 to 12, and plus as well. Okay. Now, big one here. How hard do I need to train? Which is a great question you should be asking. Many people can be either each end of that realm. So they could be either training too easy, it's like it's far too easy, not training hard enough, or they may be overtraining and more likely to um, hit an injury. They're not able to recover well enough to train again. So I like to use rate of perceived exertion, RPE. Now, this can be quite challenging for new people in the gym, but it's something that just bring your awareness to. Now, RPE is essentially a scale of 1 through to 10. 1 being something that you can do all day long. It's simple, it's easy. Okay. 10 being something, it's probably your 1 rep max. You can't do more than 1 and you have to sit down and rest. You're done. When we're looking to be efficient, when we're looking to train well and recover well and be consistent, we're looking at being at an RPE of 7 to 8. So selecting a weight that you could do an extra couple of reps before mechanical breakdown starts to occur. Now, that's not to say it's easy, but for me, an RPE of 7 to 8 is something that's challenging me. I'm able to keep good form, and probably those last 2 to 3 reps are starting to slow down. Okay, so I'm able to control the eccentrics, but the pushing part of that movement back up is starting to slow down. So again, it's challenging me. My form's pretty good. There's no real worry of injury. And I could probably, if I absolutely had to, get a couple more reps if I had to before that mechanical breakdown started to show. Okay. So have that in mind and just start going into the gym and just start thinking about the weights that you are selecting. Am I in the right ballpark when it comes to RPE around 7 to 8? And understand that that's going to differ from the person next to you. Like their RPE of 7 to 8 may be your RPE 8 to 10. Like, but bring your awareness back to you. Have an honest conversation with yourself. Could I do an extra 2 reps with this? All right. And then you can go from then. You know you're in a real good spot to progress consistently over time, recover well, and lower chances of injury. Okay. Now, within all of this, where does cardio come into all of this? Okay. And what kind? So at the moment, there's a lot around like high intensity, a lot of cardio. Um, and for me, again, someone who needs to recover well, someone needs to utilize time and hasn't got loads of spare time and spare energy. I need to make sure I manage this well. So with everything I'm doing in the gym, with my compound movements, my single joint movements, with my carries, my sled push pull, which will elevate my heart rate a little bit, probably into that zone 2. Um, max heart rate, so like 60 to 70% of my max heart rate, my explosive movements. I'm covering a lot of bases with my general all-round health and well-being. But when it comes to cardio itself, we're looking for, like I said, that zone 2, 60 to 70% of your max heart rate. So that is a steady jog. You're able to have a conversation whilst going for a jog. It may be on a bike. It may be on a cross trainer. Okay. It may be going for a swim if you have that available to you. But anything that is low intensity. So I know I said running, but if your joints are good and you're able to recover from that, then great. But it's steady. It's recoverable. That zone, what we refer to as zone 2, 60 to 70% of your max heart rate. And you're really going to then kick into that cardiovascular, heart health, lung health. Okay. And again, anything that's low impact and steady state, cognitively, it's going to be really supportive. It's going to be your time just to really kind of um, get some time for yourself and you know, going for a walk, going for a run. I don't care who you are. No one's ever come back feeling worse. Okay, mentally. It's so, so powerful. And again, that can look in many different forms, whether it's getting on a bike, getting in the pool, it doesn't matter. I think really for most people, that's not to say you can't do HIIT, high intensity interval training. But I think we need to be careful where we put that in the grand scheme of things and how we need to carry on performing in all areas of our life. And I just find that steady state cardio, low impact stuff is going to be really helpful. And it really ticks all the boxes then when you're resistance training and you've got that low level cardio training as well. Now, last one I wanted to share with you is a really empowering one is that, look, this can, if you haven't got access to a gym, which I know for many people that's the case, and a whole host of equipment and all things, this can be done. You can apply these things to a home gym with limited equipment or no equipment. I've had clients that have got a set of dumbbells, a barbell, and probably a kettlebell. And that's pretty much all you need. You could do with a bench. That would be great. But everything I've gone through, you can do this if you haven't got more dumbbells and you want to, you're at the top end of your rep ranges, slow the tempo down. So think about tempo as like, can I do the eccentric in 3 seconds on the way down? Can I hold for a second? Can I drive up in one, get a contraction for one at the top and slow back down for three? And what you're doing there, you're increasing the time under tension. And that is a real easy way to increase the challenge of the session if you haven't got more weight to put on the bar or more weight with dumbbells. Okay, so utilizing that. But again, even if you haven't got any equipment, doing body weight squats, push-ups, glute bridges, those kind of things, dips from home are really, really beneficial. You can apply the same methodology to those, but even utilizing like a backpack. Can you whack some books or even some bricks or something into a backpack and create your own resistance from home. So yeah, it can be done from home very, very easily. Okay. So hope that has been helpful. One of the biggest things I want you to walk away from this, listening to this, is the understanding that, look, training in the gym goes so much deeper than burning calories and building muscle. Those things are great, but people need to realize when you train well with this kind of intention, with this kind of structure and awareness, you are going to have a profound effect on the every other area of your life. It's going to give you that calmness and that um, resilience that Seneca spoke about, not just with the body, but with the mind as well. And you'll have a positive impact in every area of your life, in career, business, and with family. Okay. Hope that has been helpful. If you want more help, support, and guidance on how to implement training into your life, I would love to help. So comment the word train and I'm able to reach out to you and we can have a conversation of where you're at, where you want to get to, and make sure that you can start to implement the very best training to get the very best results for you.